This conference will now be recorded.
Is there anything you can do, or that I need to do to make that bigger?
Let's see. I want to share that.
I'm not seeing. Oh, I can make it bigger.
I'll try this. It says pop out into a separate window.
No, well, maybe maybe I can do it this way.
Okay, I can make it bigger. But
Maybe little dots on top or something.
Yeah. I looked at those ellipses and it didn't look like you could do that. Oh, that's right.
oh, yes, yeah.
Okay. So why don't we go ahead and just start the meeting and have the meeting called to order if we get a roll call, Kelly.
Yes. You can.
I'm here.
Jeffers. Here. Around.
Here.
Any conflict of interest?
No, for me.
All right, if you do have any conflict, let me know. No changes to the agenda. Don't need to approve the agenda. No changes. Just need to approve the minutes from June 22nd of 2022. I don't know if you had a copy of the minutes. And if you had a copy of the minutes, if you want to make a motion to approve the minutes, if you aren't comfortable doing that,
I do not have a copy of them.
okay.
Was that an email?
Yes. Things in them that.
I didn't see the
it.
minutes either, so we're not gonna worry about it.
But you know what though, there was some places that I had highlighted I had questions on too.
So maybe that's why we
Okay,
Yeah.
didn't have, okay. Because I knew that this was the application stuff. was
right.
Part of it, okay.
So, all right, so we will set that over on the next agenda
Okay,
and we'll do it
then I'll
then.
get with you near
Okay.
those.
And then we have nobody signed up for public comment tonight. And so really tonight, we're here to discuss the liquor only special event application. And I sent out to everybody, the state application. Oh, that's the one for Illinois. I sent out the state application just so you had an idea of what people need to do for a special event through the state. Not that we need to talk about it, but just so you have it to see what their responsibilities are with the state. And they have to have that in addition to the local one. We do have our own, and this is really goofy.
I know,
I don't know what it's,
I think it's bigger, it distorts it.
okay. I will,
If you go back to that where you just had it,
Smaller?
yeah, how did you do that? And then, can you click the, right by the X, right there?
Up here?
Yeah, right next to it, yeah.
that box, yeah.
Will that go full screen?
No, that's, I think Fred's
That's me,
screen.
and I've got it.
Oh,
Yeah. But I could try with this, pop out into separate windows. Can we try that?
sure.
Yeah,
Canner,
No.
where is it now? There it is.
Oh,
now can we enlarge that? That's the question.
See.
Go
Can you
to,
drag
can
the
you go-
corners?
yeah,
There you go, I'll pull it.
Yeah.
That way.
good deal. That's all we need.
Is that good
That's
enough?
perfect, yep, because that's all I'm saying.
Actually, what's this on top here?
Up here, full screen probably.
Perfect. All right, so,
Now let's move that mouse.
this is what we have prepared as the Village of Winnebago Special Events application. It's not necessarily for liquor, but it's a shortened version of our lengthy special event application form. And the idea is, and tonight you can, decide what you want to talk about, what you don't want to talk about. The idea is we want to try and get a form together that's going to be alcohol related. So I wanted to take a look at this form to see, is there anything in here that we really don't need? And the other option is, do we want to have a special event application? And then if they check that there's a liquor need in that application, then we have a very small special event liquor license application form. So here we've got basically the general information, so we know what type of an event it is. This is something that I believe the board would look at to decide, are we going to allow this event to occur? And if the board grants the special permit for the event, then if they're having liquor, they would then come to the liquor board and ask for that special use for that event. Because if the board doesn't approve the special permit for the event, there's no need to come to the liquor commission to have the liquor commission determine that until the board approves it. But just to give you an idea of the types of events that it could be any one of these types of events. And this would be submitted to the liquor commission so that we would know what type of event it is, along with then a separate liquor application. And then this is just all of the information that they have to understand and sign. I'm not gonna really take a lot of time through this because we don't really need to know that, but I'm just letting you kind of see what we're looking for from an applicant for this.
So they're filling this out regardless, it's just if they want liquor, then there's another
There's gonna be
part.
another form.
Another form.
And that's what we're gonna
Everybody's
talk a
clear.
little bit about tonight, is what do we wanna see in that form? And again, these are additional terms that they're signing and saying they agree with all this, they understand this, so they can't back out later and say, oh, we didn't know we were supposed to do that.
And these are based on City of Rockford?
This is based on City of Rockford. Now, this is the shortened version. I also gave you the lengthy version that Kelly and Sue Emmer put together, and that's the 20-page special event guide 2022. It's a 20 or almost a 30-page document.
From Rockford?
Yeah, but we put it into a Winnebago one. It's 32 pages. And we had somebody fill that out. Was it the Jingle and Mingle or somebody filled it out?
Yeah, it was Nancy Merzenich.
Yeah, and she said it was very cumbersome. And I agree to a point that it's cumbersome. So I think, isn't this 10-page one just a condensed version?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is probably what we're gonna try and use as this 10-page one, because it still gives us the information that we need. Lets us know if we need public works involved. We definitely need the site map to know where it's gonna be located and where they're gonna have any type of first aid, food vendors, non-alcoholic beverage places, that kind of thing. And then we have a copy of our ordinance for the noise ordinance, just so they know what they're allowed to do and not allowed to do under that ordinance. And then we have exceptions to that, like if there's a fireworks display, if there's train whistles and horns, if it's a parade, things like that. We give certain exceptions.
This is 4th of July to fill this out?
The 4th of July is village run right now, so no. But if it were to be a separate organization up in the City of Rockford, then yes, they would have to fill it out.
And this is only 10 pages. I mean, it doesn't seem that bad. It's not like densely packed
Right,
for 10 pages.
right, and part of it's the ordinance, so it's really not that big of a deal.
Right. I'm sorry, I was looking at, I think it was the Rockford one. It's been a long time since I've looked at this, but I think they had, if you don't need this, you don't fill this page out.
Right,
So that even though it was 20 a lot, you didn't need every page for everything.
right, one of them was animals that they had in there, you know,
Yeah.
and so I still want, and part of the 30-some pages is we do have our statutes in there, our ordinances in there, I should say. So that does take it from a 20-page, you know, 25-page to a 32-page, because we've got some ordinance things in here. So you're right, I mean, we'll take a look again at the lengthy one versus the 10-page one, and see what the board wants to approve for a regular event application form. So now that we've got an application form, somebody applies and says, we want to do this event. If they check, yes, there's going to be alcohol, then that involves this group. If they don't check that there's alcohol involved, this group doesn't get involved. And so now we have to look at what are we going to do for alcohol. And I'll pull up the City of Rockford one that I sent out. And so here we have the City of Rockford one. And again, it's a similar type of thing where have you filled this out? Have you attached what you're supposed to attach? And again, certain understandings and agreements, just like our regular application for the event. But here we have fees. And so we would set out our own fees. And the way they've set it up is it looks like, and Mary, I think you looked into this, that can, you know, does it have to be not-for-profit or a governmental entity or a fraternal entity or a church group? Can it, you know, could it be that Julie and Jim O'Rourke want to go with Mike and Mary McKinnon and have a block party and serve alcohol? You know, can a private person or can a business that doesn't have a current liquor license actually get a 1-day, 2-day, 3-day special event liquor license? And it looked like from City of Rockford that possibly the commercial event one, where they're charging $165 per day, would allow for groups or individuals to do that. And so
But
Mary,
if they're promoting their business, we ran into that in German American State Bank years ago, where they basically, they weren't selling it, they wanted to give it away.
but that's different. That's different. You can't,
Because they couldn't give it away, I
right,
know that.
you can't have alcohol like for free as part of your business promotion.
Right, because that's what that was considered.
Right. What you can do though is, and let's say you're German American State Bank, you might be able to say, we want to have an event and we want to have alcohol, we want to get a 1-day permit. And we want to have it on our grounds. We want to have it in our parking lot. I don't know that that's, my thought was you should be able to do that.
So it's basically can a business and then can
Or-
individuals.
Yeah, can individuals ask for a special, or ask for a temporary liquor license, or a special event liquor license? Does it have to be some type of a not-for-profit? Because here, you know, they broke it down into civic engagement events, and they specify what those are. So let me see if I can get down, at least I had something that showed what they were. Here we go. So a civic engagement permit would be civic engagement organization, foundation, or similar entity. And it can be private, if it's on private property, but if it's on public property, then yes, it's open to the public. If you're a not-for-profit, that'd be a 501c3, religious church organization, things like that, it must go to the not-for-profit. So we could have, if the Jingle and Mingle is a not-for-profit organization, if they're 501(c), or we have the Historics, Winnebago County Historic Society. If they want to do something with alcohol, then they would fit under a not-for-profit. And we could issue them a liquor license under something like that.
If they have the 501(c)(3).
Or their religious church organization, or some other type of not-for-profit organization, if they're not a 501(c)(3).
Now, we had, what, a year or two ago, remember the Mitchells, and they wanted to do something over here?
Was it the downtown they wanted to block off?
Yes.
Yeah. I know we were gonna have, I think it was it through the Post maybe? They wanted to have a block party. And that, under the city of Rockford's thing, and if we mirror this, that would be the last item, promotional event permit. That's from a current city of Rockford liquor license holder. So like if the Post wanted to have something outside, their liquor license holder, we would say, okay, you're a current liquor license holder. We know who you are. We know that you're capable of handling liquor. So you're gonna have a different box, you're gonna have a different fee, and you can do your event. Some places, some municipalities have it to where that liquor license holder can only do it in an area that's next to its business. But some of them say you can do it anywhere in the municipality, as long as you're a liquor license holder, wherever you host it, it just either has to be your own property, or we have to have information from the owner of the property that they're allowing you to use that property.
But it's on a property in that example, not out on the street.
Correct. Now, some of the things they are on the street. They're utilizing the street. That's why, it'll ask in the special event packet, are you blocking the street off or not? So here, let's say the Post is saying, we want to have this event and we want to block off the street. So they have to come to the village board first to say, we want to block off the street and have this event, and we're going to have liquor. The board has to decide if we're going to block off the street, let them do it during this time frame. If they say yes, subject to the Liquor Commission granting you a temporary liquor license use for that event, you're good to go. So then they submit to the liquor license or Liquor Commission that they want to have their event, and it'll be on the roadway, or it'll be on the village's park. And then if it's village, then we have certain requirements that they have to fulfill. If it's on private property, if it's, let's say it's gonna be on the library's lot. Well, that's not village public property, that's their own private lot. That's different. Then we have to have something from the library saying that yes, they're allowing them to be there, that kind of a thing. And then they have to have some type of dram shop, insurance, whatever it's gonna be. So I think the first question, because then where it says commercial event permit for 165, it says nature of applicant will be an individual, a partnership, or a corporation. It includes caterers not licensed by the city of Rockford. So that would be like if we had a catering company from outside of Winnebago that doesn't have a catering license, wants to come here and do an event, or the organizer has this catering company come in, then they would apply for a temporary liquor license to serve liquor. But it looks to me like you don't have to be a not-for-profit, church, government entity. It looks like through the city of Rockford you can do that. And city of Rockford is not a home rule, so they can't do anything differently than us, as far as I know.
Right.
So that would be what I'd want to just verify, Mary, is.
Yeah, and I'll talk to the people at the Illinois Liquor Control Commission, because that individual thing sounds really strange to me. That
It does in a way, but at the same time, it's like, how can you just limit it to not-for-profits? I mean, why would it be fair to give them a liquor license and not some business? If Frank Eubank, attorney at law, wants to have sponsor an event with alcohol, I don't know why that business can't.
But that'd be a business. This says individual.
Right.
When you were mentioning about, your works and the jumpers,
Yeah.
doing.
Yeah.
That's where I think they might draw one, but I
Yeah.
could be wrong.
But yeah, that's just what we need to know is what they will allow. I mean, in the state one, it looks like they talk about a corporate organization officer information, business premise information. So, all right.
Because, in the state one, when we get back to the state one, it talks about that the special use permit liquor license shall allow an Illinois liquor license retailer transfer a portion of its alcoholic liquor inventory from its premises to a designated site, and then saying they gotta be an Illinois retail liquor license holder.
Yes. So I don't know if this is the right form for that or not. Maybe this isn't the right form for what we're looking for, but I'm almost positive for a special event, you do have to have the state of Illinois.
You do.
Yeah.
You definitely do.
Um,
Who can get special?
And the state limits it to 15 days per application. The application must be received at a certain time. I know that some municipalities say that you cannot have a special event liquor license for more than 3 days, or more than 48 hours, or more than 15 days over the course of a year. Things like that, because they don't want you to be coming in 365 days out of the year and getting a special use permit instead of getting a regular liquor license, because we don't have a business here.
That makes sense. But it would cover things like the 4th of July type situation for 3 days or whatever was going on there.
Yeah, if we had a family festival, you might have it, the fireworks one night and the family festival a different day, so you might have a 2-day event. Some may have a 3-day event like Byron, they might go Friday to Sunday.
I would think 3 would be better than 2. You might have a long weekend thing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think that would be good to have, up to 3 days.
Mhm.
And then, so the Rockford one has a type and fee per day, and I think we should charge it per day, because if they're gonna do it one day, it should be a certain amount. If it's gonna be 2 days, they should pay more, because we have, they're just possibly creating a little more problems, so every day they do it, we would charge that fee.
The 160 or whatever.
Yeah, the 165 would be if it's for none of the other categories. And I think that's appropriate too, because you're likely going to have a little more difficulty, a little more involvement with maybe our attorney or our staff in trying to make sure they're doing what they need to.
So would that be 165 a day, or would you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the way Rockford is doing, is 165 per day.
Regardless if it's 1 or 3.
Yeah, right. So if it's 2 days, you just double it, 3 days, you triple it. And
you want to use that number? Or are we?
I don't mind using that. I know other places have had like a $35 fee across the board. Some are $50 across the board per day. Sometimes you have a higher fee just because you might have additional time spent. And my assumption is that with a commercial event, when it's not a current liquor license holder and it's not an organization that's based here in the village, we likely will spend more time. I'm sure Mary will be involved more, because she's always involved when we have liquor applications, and it tends to be that those that represent themselves and don't have attorneys are likely to fill them out incorrectly. We're also going to have more staff time, because I just believe that when you have that type of group, it's not going to be like it's the historical society that has a relationship with us. It's going to be probably somebody else that doesn't have as close of a relationship, and all of a sudden now we're going to have to deal with them, fingerprint them, that kind of thing. That's something else that I don't know that the city of Rockford requires that, but I saw in some other places that they require fingerprinting. Freeport was the first one that I saw. They require fingerprinting. And just like we require it of all our liquor license holders, we require it of anyone that applies for the temporary one.
And we would really want that because the Illinois Liquor Control Commission does not do that. They're depending on the municipality to do that.
Yep.
Because
So-
I got some pushback, I know, by some entity that basically said, we don't have to do this anywhere else. And I said, well, you do here. And I checked with the state, and the state says, well, yeah, we don't do it, but we're expecting you to.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
assuming you think it's important, yeah.
And that's, I'm just gonna pull it up.
Find out if there's anything.
What did I do with reports?
Let's try this again.
All right, so, and in here they have proof of asset training compliance, things like that. So the good thing about that is even, if it's somebody that's not had a liquor license before, they will still have to have certain training or certain procedures in place. And we need to make sure that they have that, because if they're gonna be the ones serving alcohol or arranging to have it served, they have to be trained. They have to know what they're doing. You can't just have somebody that's like, yeah, I'll sell beer. I have no idea, what I'm supposed to do. I'm just gonna sell beer. If you have the Bassett training, you are at least trained in what to look for, the observations, things like that, so.
So in your scenario, where it was us and the McKinnons having a party, the four of us would have to go to get Bassett training.
Right, if, I think
Could
it's
I
the
just send Mary?
servers. You could just send Mary if she's gonna be the only server.
She would be attention.
She would, yeah.
But so that if we have, you have to use the post, or you have to use somebody like that.
Right, because they already have the.
They're already
And
trained.
if they're using their staff, any person that they're utilizing would have to have that training. So if they're like, yeah, we're gonna have this event, but we're not gonna take our regular workers, we're gonna hire some other people just for the event, well, they have to have this training as well. All right. Some places require a 90-day application in advance. I totally don't remember if we had 60 or 90 in ours. I think I was thinking before, but 90 days. Okay, at least 60 days prior to this event, you have to do it. And looking at that, I might want to readjust it to 90 days. And the only reason I say that is when they submit it, it might be the day after we have a board meeting. So obviously we've got 29 or 30 days till the next board meeting. And then it's at that board meeting. We might have community development in the meantime that can consider this, but then the board would consider it. And if the board is able to act on it that night, okay, if we have 90 days, there's 60 days left. Then we get it to Liquor Commission. The Liquor Commission is going to be the third Thursday, so it could be then that upcoming same month. There might not be enough time to post. It should be. So we need to make sure we have enough time, but if we consider it, then that still gives them maybe 45 days before the event to make sure that they've got compliance with us. And if they don't, if we find that they haven't complied with everything, it still gives them another opportunity to come back at the next Liquor Commission meeting the next month and still have enough time to get the approval at least 15 days before their event. So I would suggest we do a 90-day, but if they get it to us earlier than that, or yeah, if it gets later than that, so we have less time, we can do, I think we had a fee in here of $200 if they file it late, and it doesn't mean that they will be approved, it just means we'll take their $200 and we'll try and put it through the process, but.
I'm not working for free.
Right, exactly.
Oh, wait.
Well, you are.
Oh, yeah, wait.
But these two aren't.
We put something in here that states we get, I don't know.
Can we go to the conflict of interest part, right?
Yeah. Well, technically, looking at the statute, you can pay liquor commissioners. So, I mean, we don't pay zoning board members either, but you can pay liquor commissioners. You are allowed to do that. So the village ever felt that we needed to do that, that's allowable. It's not something that can't happen.
I will donate my time.
Mhm. Yeah, me too. Makes that yearly form so much easier.
Yeah.
That alone is worth it.
My wife's filling that out now.
Okay. Yeah.
I just put NA for all of it. No, that's not right. That's how do I know?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, we have the checkbook. So, obviously it'd be easier if he would just work with one of our establishments. And that's always a premise we had gone by, right?
Yes.
We talked about this in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it had to be through one of the,
And we can, I didn't look through some of these other applications from other cities as much, but some of them are like, I think stating that the business organization had to be in this municipality itself. So you couldn't have like a city of Rockford place want to do an event here in the
So
village.
then that helps you own.
not without a caterer's license, yeah.
Right, but I mean, well, but why, what's the difference between the city of Rockford business wanting to do something here versus a village of Winnebago business wanting to do something here that doesn't have a liquor license, if either one doesn't have a liquor license?
Right, but the way it's set up, you can't have a caterer's license unless you have a liquor license.
Right.
Right now.
Right, but I mean, here, the city of Rockford has it to where you can have a caterer that's not licensed in the city, actually, hey Randy.
Right.
Actually,
Front row
then
seat.
apply for a temporary event. So if you've got a Rockford caterer that's gonna come here and be part of an event, then, they can get that temporary license. They don't have to have a Village of Winnebago annual catering license.
I'll talk to Angela Hammond too, from the
Oh,
city.
yeah.
You know, it used to be with La Taqueria.
Yeah.
That was her baby.
Yeah.
But obviously she's with the county now.
Yeah.
But just to find out what, because I'm sure that they have hopefully looked at whatever statutory provisions allow them to do that. What scares me about some of the smaller places is, at least I found over the years, that they do and they don't look.
Right.
You know,
No, I mean,
that she should know.
she'd be a good one to talk to, and then, yeah, the state.
And the state liquor control commission. I was just looking to see if the state had any sort of guidebook, but
Mhm.
not from what I'm seeing. It's what you saw. They have step-by-step instructions, but it's not answering what I'm looking for.
So here's a special event permit application from Wakanda. This is a 2-pager, I think. I'm just, going down and make sure, yeah, this is very basic. And this isn't just for liquor, this is what they would submit for anything. You know, block party, parade, whatever. And I'll take a look at this versus what we have. But, you know, it has a lot of the same information, they just put it in a smaller condensed form. Some of what we have is we have more spaces where they can put information. And then they have, the second page is basically for event notes, things like that. And then the other thing is we want to make sure that we have a distribution part. And I can't remember if we have it in ours where it gets passed around to the police department, it gets passed around to the fire district for approval, that kind of thing. I think we had it in there, but we'll want to make sure that we have like a checkbox for village use only.
Now, Kelly, do we have it yet where if we've got an application to be filled out, that they fill it out online, that it'll stop them if they haven't filled out a section?
Well, with the new website, I was just talking to Frank about that earlier. That's what we're gonna work on after the first of the year, is
Okay.
getting an online application form, having required fields, having, hopefully have documents that are gonna be required to upload before submission,
Mhm.
so that everything, when they hit submit, everything should be complete. Dates filled in required fields for like the expiration date on the certificate of liability insurance. And,
Because I know like the city of Rockford's is long, but I mean, it has some benefits to having a table of contents, and
Yeah.
I think just, you know, and to me, of course, as lawyers, you know, we see this stuff all the time, but that it didn't seem onerous to me.
Yeah.
To go through that, and especially if you've got a step-by-step where you check it off and then it'd be like, oh, you forgot to do that.
I think part of it was she was sitting here doing it in the village hall, and I think, trying to go through it and fill it out and saying, oh, it was too difficult. I don't, did we get feedback from the Jingle and Mingle people? I think we gave them one, and I don't know if they gave feedback saying they thought it was a little.
didn't get much feedback from them, honestly. They didn't really give us a good reason.
Okay. And
Because they just went to the school,
they just went
right?
to the school and did it,
And then
so,
they didn't really
yeah.
have to deal with it.
And honestly, I think somebody made the comment about the fee, but I believe we told them there was gonna be no fee.
For a special event, though, my understanding is you want the special event permit, whether it's on private or public property, because you want to know, like if you're doing Jingle and Mingle, is it gonna be 10,000 people there? Well, if it's at the school grounds, oh, we don't have to tell the village. Well, yeah, we as a village want to know. We want to know what the event's gonna be and how many people. So in that situation, that's why you maybe don't charge governmental entities, but you might charge a not-for-profit a basic fee, a processing fee of 35 or 50, but a commercial business that's doing it to promote their own business, that's when you want to charge more, because, it's not, to me, it's, if you're gaining the money for yourselves, you should charge them more. If it's a not-for-profit or a school event or anything like that, you shouldn't charge very much. So this is the Village of Wakanda. This is the application. In addition to that 2-page one that I just had up, this is what you would fill out for the application for a special event liquor license. Now, they have only beer and wine, and that may be something that we want to look at too, is just beer and wine and not other types of drinks. Do you guys have any thoughts on that? I mean, people might want to do margaritas or mimosas or things like that. Do you think events would only be like a wine tasting or a beer garden? And do you think the village should only have, beer and wine rather than mixed drinks?
Well, I guess it depends on the event, if I'm having a business thing, they might want mixed drinks or whatever, or Cinco de Mayo, I want to sell some margaritas, right?
Yeah.
I guess I'm just trying to picture what kind of special events we would have.
Yeah, I mean, 4th of July, it could be anything. You could have, any type of liquor request.
I'm picturing a beer garden and stuff for that.
That's, I mean, typically for parade and big events, they have beer gardens. I mean, City of Rockford, when they had the, on the waterfront, I just remember beer gardens. I don't remember having mixed drinks.
I think they had a bar set up somewhere though.
Did they?
Maybe more recently, because,
Well, I don't know, it's been a long time, but, they had a
well, you could maybe carry
Founders
around.
Club or whatever it was called. They had a full bar, I think.
Okay.
But that was inside somewhere, wasn't it?
Yeah, ours could be inside.
Yeah.
A special event.
You could. Some just have outdoor special events. Some are indoor or outdoor. Doesn't really matter. So then we don't really necessarily have to say it's beer and wine only, then I just thought I'd bring that up and see if you thought one way or the other, but it might just be better to keep it open so they can choose what they're going to do.
Because they still have to be trained. BASA trained.
And then they have it broken down for clubs and not-for-profit organizations, certain things, or for current liquor license holders. They don't have it for just regular people. And that's why, we had to find out from Rockford if that's what they're really doing. Here, they don't have a charge for either one of them. But they do have a daily fee. So there's no fee for the permit, there's a fee to have your event. I don't know why they do it that way, but that's the way they do it.
Is this any event or just the liquor part of the event?
This is the application for special event liquor
okay.
license. This is in addition to the special event that they have that 2-page one that I just showed previously.
That was for Connellsville.
Yeah, so this is just for if you want to have liquor as part of your event. And, it just has, when you be serving it, where will it be held? Again, the description of the event. And then it says you have to get one from the state of Illinois for your event. And then you have to bring a copy of the state of Illinois license to the village hall prior to the event to make sure that the state did issue it. But Mary, isn't this where the village would do it first?
Yep.
And then they go to the state to get theirs, and then if the state says, yes, you can, then they have to bring back the state one to the village to then show that they're in compliance. If they don't bring the state one back, they cannot do their event.
Right, because with liquor, it's village first, then state. With gaming, it's state first, then village.
And that's why I think it's more important that we have a 90-day turnaround, because once the village gives it, then they still have to go to the state. And I don't know how quickly the state will give a temporary license. And maybe you can find that out too from the state. That would be very helpful, because that'll tell us how far in advance we need to have Liquor Commission approve it before the event. Because we need to build in that time for the state.
I know that, and I'm not sure if this was just in that particular case, but I know we had an issue with Tony's and they hadn't had their state. They got it pretty quickly. Now, whether that was because of, pleading the case, so to speak, or if that was just standard, but I'll find out.
And then the second part here, it says if a copy of the state of Illinois special event retailer or special use permit liquor license is not supplied. So you had mentioned, it said in the state of Illinois one about the retailer, and I'd read that in some as well, that there's a retail license where you're
selling it.
selling it.
Package, I guess that,
Yeah.
are they selling it to take with, at this special event?
Right.
We have this special wine and we serve it, but you can also buy a bottle and take it home. That's what I think.
Yep, I think that is. Or if they're just serving the liquor in a container that you can drink. So I don't know that we're ever going to have an event where they're going to be selling wine, but if we had a local winery, they might want to sell their bottles of wine along with taste testing. And so we have to kind of keep that in mind too, that could be an event.
If you had a local winery and your little retail store, could you give samples?
If you have a retail store, you would have a liquor license.
Right.
You could sell it as packaged goods, and then you could also have it to where you are serving it.
But he's talking giving it away.
Well,
I'm giving you samples, you can
Right.
try my wine, because Sullivan says samples.
Yeah. That, I don't know that you have to have a different type of license.
You must not have to.
Yeah, to serve it, because you're not charging this to give it to them, you're giving it to them.
Right.
But is that business promotion or is that different because they already hold a liquor license?
Right, yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, that is.
It's a very good
It doesn't
question.
matter if it's Sullivan's.
Oh, yeah.
That's what he's saying now.
I'm constantly getting shots of Sullivan's. Randy and I.
I just go out and I hang there, I guess,
That's right.
Gotta make sure they're doing things appropriately.
Just change clothes and come back around.
There you go. And this one does talk about, there's a copy of certificate of completion of beverage alcoholic sellers and servers education training Bassett program for all persons who will be serving or selling alcohol beverage at special event attached, and yes or no. So again, we're gonna wanna make sure that everyone that's gonna be serving is Bassett trained, and that may prevent some organizations like Mike and Mary McKinnon, Julie and Jim O'Rourke, because they would have to be Bassett trained if all four of them are gonna be serving. Now, if they're gonna have just their daughters do it, well, they can send their daughters to Bassett training and then they're good.
Yeah, because anything past 9, 3 of the 4 of us are out and gonna be in bed, I'll be done.
So, what I would like to do is to have Mary, find out some of these things. Maybe look at, what I can do is look at some of these things and look at our special event guide, but then also look for a special liquor one and see if, what we need to have in just a liquor application only. Because like I said, this application is for the event itself. Doesn't matter if you have alcohol or not, this has to go to the village, and the village board has to approve this. It's what kind of a form do we want after it to be submitted to the liquor commission? To say, we want a liquor license, a temporary special use liquor license, what do we want to have in that form? This is the City of Rockford one. And, I can take a look at that, but then we also have ones from Highland Park, I've got one from Urbana, and I can maybe put together an application kind of like this, although I don't like the format of this one. But we can take a look at this one and the information that they have and maybe put it in a little bit nicer format.
It might be helpful to see what Pecatonica might do, see what Byron, Stillman, because, when you have people mad that we have all this stuff, they're comparing us to those communities, not to Wakanda and Highland Park and all that. Because I know, for instance, like the American Legion shuts down part of the street down there, and they have like a street dance and stuff too. So Peck does it. They must have something.
Yeah, and I can look online. I know Byron, they usually, their stuff is pretty accessible.
Is it?
Yeah, their code.
Because that's what people are familiar with around there. They're gonna come to Winnebago for a street dance and, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I think it's good to look at them, we just have to take it with a grain of salt, because some of the response I've gotten over the years is, well, we don't worry about it.
Yeah, and. Right.
People know who's gonna complain.
Well, when we were looking at the UTV thing, saw the one from Pecatonica, I wasn't thrilled with the one from Pecatonica. Saw the one from Byron, I thought that was better. So you look at it and say, okay, what seems to pass muster? I started comparing with the state statute and realized that Pecatonica didn't seem like it would have passed the state statute test. But Byron's would for their UTV. So you take a look at that, like you said, what do they require? And then you look at it from the state perspective and say, okay, does it have what you're required to have? And some of them may not. So like if Booties or whatever the place is called in Pecatonica, they now have a place here. If they're like, well, in Pecatonica, we can do that. Well, if it's not appropriate, we have to be able to explain why. We have to say, well, they may do it a certain way, but the state requires, just like Mary has to defend and say, we require fingerprinting. They may not in other municipalities, and that's on them. But the state requires it, we're following what the state requires. So I'll take a look at all of the area ones and then see how that compares.
And just to be clear too, I'm not necessarily making a commentary on the council for the different municipalities, because I've also had council say to me, well, I tell them, but then they do what they want.
Exactly.
So, you don't have that control.
Yeah.
The other thing I would like to see that I try to do is if we can, and not to be overly, but if there's a certain statutory section, I like to just put it in parentheses so that then we know what we were looking at.
Yeah.
So that if it does become a question, then you know. And you have a source to check in case it changes.
Yeah.
For the future.
So at this point, I think we can probably get ready to close the meeting tonight. But we will have Mary follow up on some things, and then I'll work with Kelly and the staff to put together kind of a combined draft of things, and we'll get Mary's input, and then we'll put something together just to look at, and then we'll send it out to everybody. And then we can get together and kind of go through it and say, okay, what do you think?
Are we under any kind of time pressure? I mean, I know there's been people who have asked in the past for something like this. Do we have anything, a hot ticket item right now?
I don't know. Do you know, Kelly?
Yeah, I'm not aware of any.
Yeah.
It's just that it's good now because a lot of times in the spring
Mm-hmm.
and summer is when they come.
I was
then
just
it
curious
comes
if we were under the gun for something.
No.
Well, because before it was in the email, Vince had said he'd been approached a million times.
Right.
And we never had anything set up for him and all.
So maybe that's why we haven't heard anything, because they're waiting for us to come forward with something. But yeah, we've not had any inquiries saying, hey, do you have this yet? Or can we do this event? We have not had anybody in the last 6 months.
Well, and I think too, what kind of put a caution, it's not alcohol per se, but just because when they wanted to do the whole street thing and they wanted to have fire pits in the middle of the road and they wanted to
Yeah.
block the sidewalk, and then of course, we talked to the fire department and they didn't like any of that, and, so I think they got probably a little discouraged.
And that was the jingle and mingle through a particular individual. So, and that's been taken over by a different group now.
Right.
So it's not, they're not asking, for the same thing. So it's, but yeah, so we'll work on that, get that information, and then, as Mary said, we can get things going so that we have something in place in the spring. That's kind of our goal, just to have an application that we can bring to the board and say, this is something recommended by Liquor Commission for a liquor-only event. Okay?
Yeah, I think we look at the state, here's what we need for the state, and get it close to that, you know what I'm saying? Not less than the state requires, but not go crazy.
Yeah.
Just because, you always hear, well, the Liquor Commission, blah, blah, you're not letting stuff happen, which I'm like, I guarantee you that's not true. We would never turn anybody down yet. But this is why the state wants this, it's not us, you know what I'm saying? So.
And then we'll look at area municipalities. That's why I looked at Freeport's, they are bigger than us, but I found theirs right away when I was looking for it, and so I thought, okay, we'll look at that one and just see. Theirs is lengthy, like Rockford's. But they're the ones that had the fingerprinting, which Rockford I don't think has. And so I took a page, it's a specific page authorizing the fingerprinting and distribution of the information. So I wanted to have that in our packet, because I think we need to have that.
Because it would be easier for these people just to hire the post or the.
Right.
Which they allow.
An existing caterer.
All that's done for you, Bassett.
Yeah.
Everything else is already done.
Yeah, or they can bring in a caterer from outside of the village, and we just need to have them provide information, but they've already done it for the municipality that they're part of. So they would be more likely to know, and they'd be more likely to already have the Bassett training.
Right.
Plus, they don't have to get dram shop insurance, because that's not cheap for a single day event. I mean, of course, if you're an established organization, you already have that. You're a liquor license holder, so.
How much is that typical?
I can tell, well, this was years ago. We got a one-day event permit. I'm sure it's gone up now, and this had to be 15 years ago for an event that I was dealing with. And that special event liquor license was $800 for dram shop.
Years ago? It's
Where-
gotta be twice.
Got to be twice, yeah, I'm talking, that was at least 15 years ago.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it's crazy.
Because it's just a bigger, risk they're taking.
So Jim, when you start planning this with the McKinnons, make sure that you know that.
You know what, you're bringing the tacos, so.
I mean.
I remember those tacos from the day.
All right, so are we done then for tonight?
We are, I'm gonna make a motion to adjourn, is that all right?
That works for me. Does somebody want a second?
I will second.
All right, and then all in favor? Say aye. All right, so we are done. We are done at 6:29,
Wow,
That's pretty good.
less than an hour.
just a record.
By 1 minute.